Begin by removing the plastic retaining clips from the two under trays on either side of the tunnel brace. Unbolt the tunnel brace from the car. It may take some heat to remove these bolts, so be careful or you could be replacing a stud. Remove the brace from the car. Undo the exhaust clamp from the downpipe and support the exhaust. This car has an aftermarket exhaust, so your process may vary slightly. Then pull the exhaust off of the center exhaust hanger. Lower the exhaust down to gain access to the drive shaft. Next, unbolt the front carrier from the carrier mounting bracket and then remove the mounting bracket from the car. Repeat this process for the rear carrier. Now it's time to cut the carriers off. Starting with the front carrier, flip the carrier around and make a cut on each side. Then, using a razor blade, cut the carrier frame away from the bearing. Next, cut away the excess rubber hanging off the front of the bearing, but keep the base layer of rubber intact. Clean up as needed. Your bearing should look like this when you're done. Repeat these steps for the rear carrier. Before installing the new carriers, the two carrier mounting brackets need to be modified to accept the new, larger bolts. Using a step drill bit, open the two mounting holes on each bracket to 3/4 of an inch. It's also a good idea to get a little spray paint on the exposed metal to prevent it from rusting in the future. Starting with the front carrier, take the top half with the bushing in it and slide it over top of the bearing with the text facing the front of the vehicle. Bring the bottom half up to meet it, tilt it on its side, and connect the two together using the provided Allen bolts. Then flip it upside down to tighten the two bolts completely. As you tighten the bolts, switch back and forth from left to right so the bolts don't bind in the holes. A small gap may form between the two bushings. This is normal. Next, place the front carrier mounting bracket back over the exhaust. To mount it to the carrier, take one of the provided shoulder bolts, add a fender washer, an isolation damper facing up, then one of the spacers, slide it up through the mounting bracket, bring another isolation damper down from the top, and the small gold washer on the very top. Loosely thread it into the carrier and repeat the process on the other side. Bolt, fender washer, isolation damper facing up, spacer, through the mounting bracket, another isolation damper down from the top, and the small washer on top. Tighten both bolts to the carrier, but leave the mounting bracket hanging for now. Repeat these steps on the rear carrier. Clamp the two halves around the bearing with the Allen bolts, then bring the carrier mounting bracket up and over the exhaust. Attach the bracket to the carrier with the shoulder bolts. Bolt, fender washer, isolation damper facing up, spacer, through the bracket, another damper down from the top, and the small washer on top, and thread the two bolts into the carrier. Tighten both sides, then bolt both front and rear mounting brackets back to the car. Reattach the exhaust and tunnel brace and your installation is complete.